Hey, it's Sela Social Studies.
Hey guys, welcome to Sealess Social Studies. Today we're going to go ahead and cover Shays Rebellion. We're not going to dive deep into Shays Rebellion. We're going to kind of just go over the basics about Shays Rebellion and what happened and the important stuff. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Shays Rebellion. So who was Daniel Shays? Daniel Shays was a farmer. He was a Revolutionary War vet. He actually made it all the way up to captain, I believe, by the end of the war. He served under some people like the Marquis de Lafayette. And when the war is over, just like every other, person who fought in the war, every other member of the army, they kind of retired. They left. They wanted to go back to their farm. Daniel Shays was a northern farmer, so he didn't really have the huge plantations of the South, but he had a fairly decent size acreage lot or plot up in Massachusetts. So he was a vet. Now, one thing you have to remember about the Revolutionary War is a lot of these soldiers did not get paid for a majority of the time in this war. And this is no different. Daniel Shays, even though he made it all the way up to an officer or a lieutenant, he was not getting paid for his service time. The Congress promised him, oh yeah, we'll go ahead and get you some money. We'll go ahead and, and give you these credits, these bills. Hey, everything's going to be good. Well, remember, we kind of ran into an economic wall after we won the revolution, because trade and everything stopped. So these farmers were not getting paid, like Shays, were not getting paid for their service time, and they were kind of struggling with their farms. They weren't huge farms, and they were out fighting a war, so they really couldn't tend to the farms. So he could not pay his bills. He could not pay the high debt that he accrued from fighting the war and his farm sitting there, right, and not getting paid. So Shays and what they called his regulators start a revolt. These farmers start a revolt against their high taxes and heavy debt in August of 1786. Now, Daniel Shays was not just some guy who they were like, hey, this farmer seems pretty cool, let's get behind him. Daniel Shays was, like I said, he was a captain in the army, so a lot of people looked up to him. He had good leadership. He might not have been the sharpest knife in the drawer, but he knew how to lead a group of people. So picking Shays, Daniel Shays, to lead this rebellion makes sense. Some citizens agree with with the rebels, the regulators, and states start arresting people. They start releasing people. But you see here, there's a little painting of Daniel Shays and his rebellion and a marker. The last battle of Shays Rebellion was here. Daniel Shays was like in western Massachusetts, and this actually goes all the way to like Boston, to the east coast of Massachusetts, right? That's how much these guys are protesting. They throw a rebellion up against the Massachusetts Supreme Court, and it's kind of genius when you think about it. If they could shut down the Supreme Court of Massachusetts, then the Supreme Court of Massachusetts could not sit there and continuously tax them, or continuously try to take their money, or continuously foreclose on their farms. If they could not get to work, if they could not get to the court to take the farm, then you can't take the farm, right? That was their idea of behind Shays Rebellion. Protest the courts, because if the courts can't open, they can't take your farms. Smart. Now remember, there's no army to squash Shays Rebellion, so it is able to get large and able to, really threaten the Supreme Court of Massachusetts. It's able to happen because, remember, the Articles of Confederation make it so that we can't raise an army in America by taking these troops and putting them into a national army. Continental Army disbanded, remember? But there was enough militia that was able to get together and put down Shays Rebellion in January 1787. So these farmers who were rebelling against high taxes, high debt, forced the closure of the Supreme Court in order to make it so they can't take their farms, really has huge implications on the United States. Why? Because many people saw Shays Rebellion really expose, that's what we should say, expose the weaknesses of the Articles. Because when Massachusetts was calling, the federal government, like, boo, 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 hey, U.S. government, can you please go ahead and send them some money? Because we need some money to be able to pay off these farmer guys because they can't afford their farms anymore. Government's like, nah, man, article says we can't tax. Sorry, my bad. I got to go. Can't hear anymore. Click. So people are like, oh my gosh, the Articles is actually really, really weak. And when Massachusetts is like, boom, hey, I need you to send the army. Uh, breaking up, I can't hear you. No army, sorry. So they're kind of stuck on their own. That's why the militia had to really squash Shays Rebellion. So people see that these Articles are super, super weak. So now they're kind of like, hey, here's what we need. We need a stronger national government that will protect the people of the United States. Our ideas of liberty cannot be protected. Yeah, even though it says we can protest, we can go ahead and protest, we can revolt. That's what it means to be an American, all that stuff. But you know what? We need a government that can protect us. So this is what that call for the protection from Shays Rebellion. We need a stronger government to protect us as citizens here in the United States. The Constitutional Convention heard that. Oh, hey guys, May 1777, the bunch of delegates meet in Philadelphia in the Constitutional Convention to revise the Articles of Confederation. Do they revise it? We'll see next.